One of the unpopular advice that I have received when I became a single mom was to become more practical, play it safe, get a stable job, keep my dreams on hold for some time till I get stable in my finances. Fair advice, but I did the exact opposite. You know why? The thought process at that time for me was, am I able to give? Maybe I'm able to give her the stable income and the perks and benefits, but my kid really needed my emotional presence, my connection with her, because she was going through a similar process that I was going through. She had got separated from her father as well, right? So we had to figure out a way how I can be more present as a parent to her. And that's exactly what I chose. I chose not a stable career, not the practical advice most of my friends gave me, and I took up entrepreneurship again. I reinvented myself at the age of 40. But if you ask me today, after so many years of being in the entrepreneurship role, one thing that I look back and feel is maybe not a stable or a practical solution or path that I took, but what it has changed for me is also understanding that the kids most often do not really need those perks and benefits. They need your emotional presence as a parent more. And I guess I could create that balance for her. While I did build the emotional connection through my most by following the most unpopular advice, in fact, what I also learned is, while I did that, one thing my kids saw was somebody who's been strong enough to go through that phase and also build something from nothing. She saw less of a burnout mom who, at the end of the day, didn't have a lot of time for conversation. So had more conversations, we had more interactions to figure out how life could be shaped and where we are headed. But there were two more unpopular advice that I have heard. I'm sure you must have heard. We'll hear that soon. 14 years ago in India, when I started coaching, a lot of people, when I told them that I was a coach or I'm a coach, they would look at me and ask, sports coach? Uh, why don't you get a real HR job? Basically, the message was, why don't I get a job and stop exploring my hobby? There are many other versions of it, which I'll talk in one of the other videos on training. But this pretty much what I heard 14 years ago. Did that stop me? It was the most unpopular advice, but did that stop me? Not really. I understood, because from working very closely with the corporates at that time, I understood that they had already stopped looking at just management. They were looking at transformation, and that is how the one to one coaching for me started 14 years ago. I then stopped explaining myself to people. What I did instead was talking about results. 14 years later, today in 2026, do I regret not taking that unpopular advice? Not a bit. When I look back, I feel what helped me stay true was the results that I was getting. A lot of times people would ask me and look at me as if I was selling air. It didn't mean anything. But today I knew, in fact, I know that selling air is valuable, sustainable, and gets you revenue, because you're basically helping people breathe again. So, if you have got one such unpopular advice, let me know on the comment section. In 2017, when I started online coaching, I had just moved to Bombay, and that seemed to be the only way I could have connected to more clients. What I also did at that point was to reach out to a lot of successful trainers and people, renowned in the field of training, to check if what I was doing was right. And the unpopular advice again: India is not ready for online. In India, people like to have tea, they like to have, shake hands, meet people, get the vibe. I don't disagree. What I did instead was, of course, not follow the advice. What I did instead was to do online coaching. I started reaching out. I knew this country is ready to be connected beyond the boundaries that we have set, and I knew this country is ready to be out there in the world. So instead of going the conventional route. I started online coaching with Skype and GoToMeeting. And what I also observed in 2020, when the world turned towards digital media and online because of the pandemic, I had established the digital intimacy that was needed with my clients. And I not only did I lose the human touch, which is the unpopular advice, I did have the touch, but my reach was farther. It was more global today. Sometimes, when you do take the unpopular advice and you know for sure that your plan is going to work out and you do have a plan in place, it could take you 3 years ahead of the curve. It could take you much ahead of the growth curve that you had planned for yourself. So sometimes it's good to take that leap of faith and become the disruptor of the economy.